Hi, good morning. Welcome to my Wednesday devotional. We are still in Esther and we have moved to chapter 6. I hope you guys are doing well today. Hopefully, where you're at, the snow is melting. For us, it's sort of melting as the sun is finally out. We're happy to have a little bit warmer weather than we had all last week. It was really rough. We didn't lose power, praise the Lord. Yay! But yeah, it was pretty bad. I think we were in the single digits, so that's usually the coldest it gets around here. So hopefully we're moving on up, right? With our weather, because spring's my favorite. All right, and also speaking of spring, today is the first day of our spring kickoff for the PWOC for our spring semester. And so from here on out, it'll go to about early May. And again, perfect timing with Esther as we start on chapter 6, verse 1, and that's kind of our second half. And we're going to be rolling forward here. And like I said, Purim is in the spring. And remember, Haman the bad guy, he's got a plan to annihilate the other group in the spring. So it's kind of interesting how this Bible study is taking place right at this time. So it's perfect timing for us, right? So, all right, let's get started. All right, so this is last week. I always like to kind of, roll a little bit and show you where we're at, and then we'll go to where we're supposed to be right now. All right, Esther. So this is last week, Esther 5, verses 13 and 14. And okay, so then he added, and then remember we're talking, this is Haman. Haman's talking here. But then he added, but this is all worth nothing as long as I see Mordecai, the Jew. That's how he always does it. I don't know why this book always sticks that title on there, but Mordecai, the Jew, just sitting there at the palace gate. So Haman's wife, Zeresh, and all his friends suggested, set up a sharpened pole that stands 75 feet tall. And in the morning, ask the king to impale Mordecai on it. When this is done, you can go on your merry way to the banquet with the king. I love it. This pleased Haman, and he ordered the pole set up. So now you can go on your merry way. Because Haman likes to get happy, right? All right, so chapter 5 was about Haman, and his situation. What I like about this, the way they wrote this book of Esther, is, they kind of flash, for different characters, so that's Haman. Now we go to chapter 6, and now we are focused on the king. So flash over here. It's almost like you're watching a play, a corner here and a corner there lights up. That's kind of how I imagine it, right? So now flash over to the king. All right, verse 1. That night the king had trouble sleeping. So he ordered an attendant to bring the book of the history of his reign so it could be read to him. In those records he discovered an account of how Mordecai had exposed the plot of Bigtha and Teresh, two of the eunuchs who guarded the door to the king's private quarters. They had plotted to assassinate King Xerxes. Okay, interesting. The king, he had trouble sleeping. Well, he ordered that someone read him a book, his own records, Makes me think, well, he wanted to switch on the television, but, they didn't have TV back then, right? So someone come read me a book of the records of the history of my reign. I mean, it sounds so narcissistic. Oh, all about me. That's the first thing you think of, but then I was like, well, they didn't have TV, they didn't have phones, they didn't have computers and all this other stuff that we all have now. So what are you going to do? Someone can read me a book of, all about me. But anyway, I don't think that's his intention. It just sort of comes across that way. He is the king. All right. So, so as he was listening to the story, he's like, wait a minute. Mordecai had helped put these bad guys or eunuchs, have them taken away? And interesting, they were gonna assassinate the king, and those eunuchs, they guarded the door of the king's private quarters. So that means they're right outside the door, right? Wow. So Mordecai, he's kind of like a law and order man, He's, being very honest and letting the king and his staff know, hey, something's going on, someone's about to kill you. But it sounds like the king didn't even know about it because he discovered it. So it must have gone to the staffers, they recorded it, and then it just went nowhere, right? I don't know. So, interesting. So it sounds like Mordecai is quite the hero, and the king is like, huh. So isn't it interesting that the king had trouble sleeping? Could that have been a God moment? Could God have been trying to wake him up a little bit and say, hey, King Xerxes, look what's going on. Mordecai is a good guy. You can trust Mordecai. But meanwhile, the king is trusting who? Haman. Very interesting. The plot thickens, right? Okay. Wow. Well, that's very interesting that Mordecai's been the good guy all along. But Haman can't stand him. Haman is just furious. Interesting, And what's being done for Mordecai is probably going to be the next question, right? All right. Stay tuned for next week to find out what does the king do about this. Is he going to keep trusting bad guy over here or the good guy Mordecai? And where does Esther play in all this? You see how this plot is starting to woo. All these characters, these pieces, like chess, getting moved around, God is great, right? All right, well, I hope you guys are staying warm and that we are going to continue to have a little bit of a warming trend and that spring is on the way and good things are coming, right? All right, take care. Thanks for watching. Have a great week. All right, bye-bye.